Welcome to Incredible Idaho. I'm Larry Manili, filling in tonight for an uncharacteristically quiet Jack Hemingway, who's had the misfortune of temporarily losing his voice. But I'm confident Jack will be back with us next month in fine form. Our first story tonight is a sobering one. Last year, more than 250,000 people hunted in our state, and for the most part, these folks were ethical, law-abiding citizens. But occasionally, illegal hunters and outfitters poach on our resource, cheating ethical hunters and all the others who value Idaho's wildlife heritage. Apprehending these seasoned poachers can prove difficult, expensive, and sometimes dangerous.
That's what we're involved in today. It's not just one operation. There's 3 entirely separate operations that our undercover people have done. And we want to take them all down at the same time because they know each other, and word's going to get back and forth real fast as soon as we start making contacts.
When traditional methods of law enforcement are not enough to expose and convict these criminals, officials depend on undercover agents to gather information and evidence that can only be collected by launching what's called a covert operation.
We also have the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service making contacts at exactly the same time we do in 3 different states. And our contact time will be 2 p.m. this afternoon.
Operation Dustpan has just entered its second phase. For the past 2 years, undercover agents have been hiking, hunting, and camping with men suspected of poaching violations, illegal outfitting, or both in the mountains near Salmon, Idaho. This morning, uniformed Fish and Game conservation officers have requested and received warrants from the magistrate's court based on evidence painstakingly gathered by the undercover agents. Now the time has come for phase 2, the takedown.
Basically, I'll run over the charges that our undercover was able to hunt with these people and did a couple buys, one of which is a felony. But
15 people will be served with 46 state and federal charges. In addition, 2 individuals will be arrested on 19 felony and misdemeanor charges of wildlife law violations. We've decided to follow Conservation Officer Mark Armbruster and his crew as they arrest and search the home of outfitter Frankie Valvo.
And so 2 of the guys on the arrest team could come in and take this position right in here. That way...
The undercover agents need to preserve their covert status, so at this point in the game, they are replaced by uniformed officers.
In a small community, you get enough people that know who's violating, and your good sportsmen out there get fed up with it. And you're always getting people saying that so-and-so's doing this and so-and-so's doing that, and you can't work on them all at once. On something like this, an undercover capacity is about the only way to get to some of these problems. It's very expensive and time-consuming, and like I say, potentially dangerous.
Is Mr. Frankie Valvo here?
I don't know where he is right at the moment.
He's not home though. Okay,
no,
we
he's not.
We have a warrant for his arrest. We also have a warrant to search the premises.
What is he supposedly being arrested for?
There's 8 counts here for
what?
fish and game violations. To those. This is a copy of the search warrant for your house.
From? I mean, I don't understand any of this crap.
We're going to need your total cooperation. We're going to take you to an area in the house, and we're going to sit you down, and you can stay there while other officers conduct the search. Okay?
It appears that the suspect, Frankie Valvo, is not at home, so the officers make the decision to split the force. One team will wait for the suspect outside, while the other team begins a search of the premises.
So he may be able, there's a gate down through here, and he may be coming back in this way, so okay, keep a quick eye.
The search team begins by videotaping each room in the house before anything is touched. It will be videotaped again when the officers have finished their search. This tape will then be held as before and after evidence to show that the conservation officers did not unnecessarily disturb the property.
It's not necessarily frightening, it's a little bit tense. Make sure you got everything that needs to be done and done correctly. Search warrants aren't taken lightly at all, obviously. Arrest warrants are not taken lightly either. But it's part of the job, and it's a pretty gratifying part of the job to be able to put everything together and get the evidence arranged correctly and be prepared for court.
Names, license and tag fees paid, deposits paid, and balance due.
Just as conservation officers Mark Armbruster and Terry Williams begin the tedious job of searching through piles of business papers, letters, and photographs, Frankie Valvo returns home. He cooperates, and the arrest goes smoothly. 3 hours later, the search team finishes its task. Confiscated papers and photographs are loaded into the trucks, and the command center is notified.
Yeah, Team 6 is clear and starting back en route to the office.
Thank you.
From my viewpoint, from where I was at least, everything went very well. No problems.
The 7 teams gather at a debriefing to report the results of their individual efforts.
Good operation. You guys did a great job.
Operation Dustpan is declared a success. The next phase will be played out later this year in the courts. Poaching and illegal outfitting take a big bite out of our resource, both in terms of animals and revenue. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service estimates that trade in illegal wildlife yields a profit of $200 million a year, and the figure is growing. Add to that the money lost in uncollected user fees, sales tax, and insurance premiums, and it tallies up to a significant economic impact. But the sophisticated poacher is tough to catch. Wildlife agencies increasingly rely on covert operations, agents who change their identity and go into what the law enforcement world calls deep cover. For several years, Conservation Officer Butch Welch filled this role for the Idaho Department of Fish and Game.
Is it frightening? Yes, at times. There's 2 things that you always think about, or the one thing that most people think about is that of being burned. The other thing is you're just doing things that are not safe. These people,
Hold him up!
you know, probably as far as mixing alcohol and firearms, you know, and if you're hunting at night, you know, you're driving around, there may or may not be intoxicating beverages in the vehicle, you know, and shooting at night, spotlighting. There is definitely an element of danger, and yeah, you think about it.
The public is wildlife's best friend. Most often, it's a tip from an ethical sportsman which triggers an investigation. Butch divides poachers into 2 categories: those who waste animals just for the challenge of eluding the law, and those who are money motivated.
If you're going on an illegally outfitted hunt, you're looking at $10,000 to $20,000. Or you can, as we have this sheep up here on the wall, which is the largest bighorn ever killed in the state of Idaho, that sheep right there, already mounted, $25,000 to $50,000. And there are people who want their name in the record book so bad that they have and will pay that kind of money. In wildlife products can run from, like we have here, you know, a Boone and Crockett trophy, to something, you know, on another continent used to treat illness.
Bear claws are popular as jewelry and belt buckles. Velvet antlers and the gallbladders from bears fetch thousands of dollars in the Oriental herbal medicine market. And illegal trophies like these once decorated the walls of clients from Louisiana to Alaska who poached in Idaho, purchasing a hunting trip with an illegal outfitter.
Everything in here was a result of one investigation, and this isn't all of it.
The key to convicting these criminals is gathering strong evidence which will stand up in court. We're about to show you some videotape used as evidence in a case called Mule Shoe 2. But I must warn you, this videotape is very graphic, and you may find it offensive.
Good shot.
This video was shot in the course of a 9-month investigation of a poaching ring in Orofino, Idaho. Poachers took the undercover agent hunting with them and allowed him to videotape their activities. Not only did they show the enforcement officer how they illegally killed moose, elk, and deer, they also demonstrated their method for hasty removal of the kill, dragging it from the woods, loading it, and quickly leaving the scene. The poachers were arrested and convicted. For undercover agents like Butch Welch, the reward is worth it.
In a lot of senses, it's like being on the stage without the benefit of any rehearsals and no script. You always know where the door is. You know how to retreat and get out of there. Why do you do it? To get more guys, to get the guy who walks out the door, who gets up in the morning and walks out the door knowing he's going to violate a wildlife law.